you.
Give me a call or find me on them internets at www.
Super Mario World 2, only on the Super NES. The Earth, that's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever...
Consome, consome, consome panchi. Panchi genki, consome panchi.
気持ちいいね。
かゆい水虫にシンピロエース。
しかも5合目まで乗り換えなしで行けるのです。5合目まで行ってくれんだ。ハロー、こんにちは。どちらのお国の方ですか
？Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia.
一緒？セイム？
Yeah, yeah.
理由は何しに日本へ
？Vacation.
おう、バケーション。
Yeah. We're gonna try and see Mount Fuji today.
マウント富士行くの？
2 weeks.
行っておいでよ。観光5日目。これから富士山に行くんだって。
And I wanted to try the food. Here, the food's amazing. So, fire ramen in Kyoto yesterday.
Fire ramen?
Yeah.
ファイヤーっていうのは辛いんですか？
No, they set it on fire.
おお、もう本当に燃えるんだ。何これ？ラーメンから？マジ？ファイヤー！
マジ？何これ？
ネギがどっさりラーメン。燃えた油で香りがアップするんだって。大興奮。
Oh, yes, very good. Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to a very strangely emotionally loaded stream. I got a text message a few hours ago saying some not necessarily unexpected, but nevertheless emotionally heavy-hitting news about my mom. I just want to take things easy this time. I finished releasing a big, super duper demanding video that Odyssey, the gamer Homer shares his favorite Odysseys video, took like somewhere in western United States. That really narrows it down. That video took many 12-hour long days, and the final day was 23 hours long. I worked from 7:30 in the morning on one day up to about 7:30 in the morning the next day, but I had taken 2 30-minute breaks in that span. So I need a fucking break. I really need a fucking break for this one. And I had some plans about what I'm going to be doing with the next few months worth of Metal Gear Solid streams. And they have a lot to do with Death Stranding 2. But I don't think I want to start that just yet. I gotta get some shit done first. And only about a couple weeks worth of shit done. And then I'll be really down to start again. Look at how huge Yalongaducket is. I don't know the name of this big region of Alaska in the middle, but it's clearly taking up more space over all the others. Why are they using the low poly graphics here? This is interesting, because the digital comic is going to have hand-drawn illustrations by, fucking, what was the name? Ashley Barrett, I think? A, popular concept artist who drew the, comic book cutscenes for Portable Ops and Peace Walker. But for some reason they're using the PS1 models here. Or this could be a drawing designed to look like the PS1 models. Also, there was no menu. Sometimes there's a button prompt, but I haven't pressed any button prompts. It keeps bringing us to the next page pretty much as soon as I finish talking through what I'm thinking. I like how his eyes and his nose look suspiciously more realistic than the rest of the drawing. Oh, my webcam is kind of sort of in the way. Yeah, I'm putting in hours, so I wanted to do something less demanding. In fact, I wanted to actually like Alt-tab out and get in a different window and customize the layout of the Super Bunny Hop second channel so that we're promoting the, God damn it, is there a pause? Are they ever gonna pause and ask me if I consent to having this thing continue? Alright, I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna press start. Okay, actually, let's make a save state in case I screw something up. Start is doing nothing. What is this flashing thing here? That thing flashes like it's begging me to press a button, but then it just goes on anyway. It only flashes for maybe 3 seconds. Let's actually count it down next time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Oh, there it goes! Yeah, I might have guessed accurately. It could be 4 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4... I'm gonna say 3 Mississippi. We might actually be closer to 3. Look at that PS1 model, man. Okay. Upon closer inspection, it might be a organically drawn, human handmade illustration designed to look like a PS1 model, which is an interesting choice. So are they gonna switch to the wispy comic book drawing versions of the characters when the real adventure begins and we're done with the briefing? Kind of like how in the game, when you're going through the real adventure, they're the PS1 models, but when you look at the briefing, they're hand-drawn Yoji Shinkawa drawings. And an SDV ed, a swimmer delivery vehicle ed. So this is, by the way, for those who don't already know, this is the digital graphic novel PSP quote-unquote game, but not really. Less of a game than a visual novel, but still a novel that plays out visually with graphics. I thought there would be voice acting. I remember seeing a YouTube version of this a couple years back when I did the Something Rotten podcast with Jacob Geller, and for some reason I thought I remembered voice acting for that. I'm gonna wait to see if they bring us to a menu or something when the briefing stuff is over. Sploosh! Right, we gotta make our own sound effects. Whenever, barely more than 2 seconds. Is it loading the next screen? Maybe. Would it really need to? These things are, fairly low resolution JPEGs. I can see the pixelation with it, blown up on my 1440 screen. This is another thing where you're gonna have to use your imagination and remember what it would look like on the smaller screen and how much better this would look on a small screen. Okay, he'll be through here, I know it. That's a line from when you actually start the game proper. I'm going to swat down a couple of bothersome flies while making my tea at the pub. A difference in skin tone. Other than that, he could be my friend. That doesn't, the solid versus the liquid? He's the enemy. They made the dialogue cheesy hair. Oh, how are they going to do codec scenes for this? Oh, they're green speech bubbles. Okay, so we don't get transported away into the codec universe for the codec stuff. But anyways, this is less interactive than I thought. I thought that they would have a button prompt where depending on how fast you're reading or how intense the action is, you might be tasked to mash the button faster. I thought that there might also be extremely lightweight QTEs in the Peace Walker cutscene tradition. Thought that one had a pretty nasty torture scene where you really wear your thumb out mashing the triangle button. But no, we're into translated sections of gameplay here, and there is no button prompting or QTEs. Okay, I'm gonna start pressing buttons and see what happens, but let me save the state in case I accidentally ruin everything somehow. Alright, A on Xbox, X on PlayStation. Let's see what that button does. Wait, I'm gonna wait for it to flash at me first. Woo. Maybe it is actually asking me for a button press. Pajam! Pajam! Okay, I had to press it twice that time. Why are they panning up from Naomi's chest? We never got to see anything below her, like, chin in the original game. How's the diversionary operation going, Mr. Cameraman? Okay, if I... Aha! The X button is kind of a fast forward. Okay, so let's... Oh! Square just skipped something straight up. Yeah, I'll load the save state later. Hey! I'm interacting with things. What's going on? Gee, I don't know. Thank you, Luri Lou. It's the Luri Lou. I can't see shit. This is... Oh. I don't know what's going on because I skipped something. I have no idea. Alright, let's load the state and see what was actually going on, because I think that might have been the first hint of any sort of interactivity going on here. Things are about to get trickier. I feel like the writing is... It's taken a downgrade from the extra cheese. I'm gonna tap the fast forward button. When does the... When are they gonna ask me to use the binoculars to look at the hind D, though? Okay. Codec developer. So you press square, and it makes a little scanner thing show up that spells things out in case you're a real idiot, I guess. Codec developer. Obtained codec developer memory. Wait, is he holding his smartphone? He's holding the codec! They have a visual for what the codec is supposed to look like. Superg was back to the same gas transmitting nano machines. No, he wasn't, Snake. It wasn't me. Alright, let's see what I can do here. Genome soldiers. Obtain genome soldiers memory. What is that? Is that like concept art I can look at from a menu or something? Where? How? If you want to get in, avoid the front door. There's too much risk of being spotted. On the entry in the red net, the RAM 556 is pineapple. Edition said looks good. Dun dun dun. Arm yourself with right. Okay, now let's look at the gun. Whoa, there's like a kind of oversensitivity applying to this one. Ooh, but nothing really showing up as clickable. Some of the scenes were not allowing me to press square. Okay, what about this one? Oh god, did I just accidentally skip a scene by pressing square? When am I supposed to press square? Why does the artist draw his triangle feet pinching into comically unsustainable anatomy? Oh, there's stuff up here. Oh, there's layers. Right, I remember that coming up for the hind D. I feel like we skipped something. You can't hide bodies in Metal Gear Solid 1. Alright, can we click on the mice? If we're gonna be true to the game experience, there should be mice. They should be silly, cute. So, what's the... Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, I accidentally pressed the emulator's fast forward button. Okay, we're back to normal. I'm just mashing buttons on the controller, trying to make it in the big city here. Why is he so big and his head is so small? He looks like the Goomba from the Mario movie from 1990. There's a few things I want to do here. I want to be playing in a window mode. Oh, can we click on Naomi now? No. Wait, did we already click on Naomi? I mean, meleeing. Because of the... She would have been codec developer, right? Okay, I want to play in a window, and I want chat to be constantly in my frame of reference, because I just want to chill out and just, I guess, watch Metal Gear Solid, except do voice acting every now and then, because you got to use your imagination for the voices in this one, and take a breather. Another thing I wanted to do is fiddle around with the Super Bunny Hop second channel so I can get the can we yeah! Oh, yeah! Obtained imprisoned memory. It almost looks like she's not wearing pants. It's like she's just taking a shit on the toilet right now. Why am I clicking on people to put them in memory? Should there be a button somewhere to take me to the menu and like look at the memory? What do you get? Like character descriptions, concept art, some garbage like that. So this is going to be a pretty much faithful retelling of Metal Gear Solid that I think is gonna go a bit off the script when Meryl gets shot. I don't think they play out the backtracking for the PSG-1 sniper rifle in exactly the same way it's gonna happen in the game. Where is the customize right? Description, channel URL. How do I feature? Video above all the others? Aha! Channel trailer. Popular videos, single playlist. Trailer. Set that to Epic the Musical. People who haven't subscribed. Good. And Spotlight for returning subscribers should also be Epic the Musical. Good. So now when we go to the Super Bunny Hop second channel homepage, good, the first thing people will see is Epic the Musical. Okay, now how... Let's make a playlist for just Epic the Musical. And make sure that that is shoved to the top of the pile. Boom, boom. Boy, it's been an extremely long time since I have ever customized YouTube channel. Okay, there we go. The Super Bunny Hop super secret second channel should look a little more polished now, and be clear that I have something much more bigger and fancier that I want to shove to people than the the VOD upload of the Odyssey slop stream from last week. Why was my microphone coming in through the wrong channel last week? Anyways, I don't know. But I'm gonna pay attention to Twitch chat almost more than the game here. So yeah, let's go back to Fat Sacks. Is it loading the next screen? I don't know for sure. We never really found out for sure. It seems like a decent guess, but also these JPEGs should be such low file sizes that I don't know if that would really be necessary. Oh, can we take a picture of that? DARPA Chief, yeah! Got him. I think I'm reading in from the impressionism there of him being in a much more calm pose than he really is. I think there's an official dub of this on the U's and Tubes. What do we mean by official in Quebec? That's barely more than 2 seconds. Huge. How can there be an official dub of this? Because, this is the product that you'd buy off of store shelves. Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel. Okay, so 2 years ago, a YouTube channel called Koteshi uploaded the full story cinematic. Yeah, it has voice acting here. This is weird. All right, let me get what you're hearing up on the screen now.
I just had some kind of hallucination.
It must have been cycling.
Oh no, it's all transparent because of the filter I applied.
On my way to the second floor basement to get bigger.
Make codec effect on the Red 9 demo stream.
That way. This must be one of those cemented.
So yeah, this is
nothing a little C4 won't take care of.
What the hell's going on here? I don't remember him saying those lines.
You're the Arms Tech president, right?
What the hell's going on here? This video puts together the content of the Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel and the Metal Gear Solid 2 digital graphic novel from 2008 into the same video, essentially telling the whole story of Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Okay, okay. Let me pause this, because this is not what I'm playing here in the actual PSP emulator. I'm pretty sure that on the YouTube video I just loaded up, the loading the next scene wait time doesn't happen either. Ugh. Okay, so for further explanation, they plant. Okay, so for further explanation, this is a PlayStation Portable UMD disc. I am absolutely certain they had the disk space on those things to include the voice acting that also could have fit on the CDR for a PlayStation 1 game. I don't know why the voice acting's not here. Peace Walker has a hell of a lot more voice acting than this would have. And, the official dub that might exist here that I just flashed on a YouTube window might have been ripped from a Blu-ray release that came later of a Metal Gear Solid 2 digital graphic novel, which was Ashley Barrett's illustrations auto-playing while the story of Metal Gear Solid 2 goes. They had planned for a PSP release of that, but it got canceled, so they released it on Blu-ray in 2008 as some fan swag garbage for early adopters of Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PlayStation 3 who wanted something to play on that machine other than Metal Gear Solid 4 and Talladega Nights. Yeah, if you were an early adopter for the PlayStation 3, you had a choice of 3 games: Metal Gear Solid 4, Talladega Nights, and the Metal Gear Solid 2 graphic novel Blu-ray bonus disc throw-in tie-in thing. So I think that that Blu-ray disc might have also included a movie version of the first digital novel, like this thing, but the original PlayStation Portable version of it did not have voice acting like the Blu-ray re-release might have. I'm guessing, I don't know. Let's see what Twitch chat has to say. This reminds me when I tried Metal Gear Solid 4 when you returned to Shadow Moses and it was all snowed in. It felt extremely nostalgic, you know, emphasis on the algia. Pitching your next creative project. It was dubbed with the game's voice actors and such. But there were some lines that I don't remember the voice actors saying. Like when Solid Snake puts C4 on the wall and blows it up, you don't hear Solid Snake say, "A little C4 should do the trick!" But the voice actor did say that in the thing we were just looking at here. Alright, I'm gonna scroll up and catch up with Twitch chat. Behind D, you know why. Lord Fortus, there was something I asked. You said you know why. Is this when the camera was getting all sexy about Naomi? She breathes through her skin, you know. That's why, yes, of course. Pitching your next creative project, adapting the Metal Gear Solid script into Homeric verse. I have a lot on my plate, but I will consider it for the winter season. All right. So here's what I got on my plate. I'm very, very excited to be working on the Iron Gaming project, and I think I saw something from the Nebula bosses saying that I'm allowed to hype that up. Get hyped for Gaming Beyond the Iron Curtain to come back. This time I'm getting paid a lot more money for it, so I'm making sure it's good. I am also going to be working on a small minor update to Tammy Roche. They want me to give her some promotion. Her Instagram is where she's going to be posting excerpts from the book that she's working on that the GoFundMe is going to help fund. That should be pretty quick. I'm also going to be returning to the Iliad. I swear, I'm not lying. It's kind of like that Napoleon video. I never actually stopped working on it. Oopsie whoopsie, I pressed a button. And since it's Homer month, I absolutely positively for sure want to finally get book 5 out after a 3-year working time this month in July 2026 for Homer month. And then around the time early August is rolling around, that's when I want to be doing a video review for the Christopher Nolan Odyssey. I do not want to see that on launch weekend. I don't want to see that on launch week. The tickets are in high demand. It's absolutely actually kind of insane that going to the movies to see the Odyssey is going to be an Odyssey in and of itself. So apparently, I should get into the complications later. We're going to be seeing it this upcoming weekend as opposed to last weekend, and it's going to be like late afternoon on a Sunday. At the end of the weekend, There will be one more week of July after that, and then the first week of August is when I should be working on a video for that. And I really hope the video doesn't balloon out of proportion and end up being a 30 to 40 minute long, ginormous video essay history lesson. I hope it's going to be 20 to 30 minutes long, and even 30 minutes really should be stretching it. But I'll be busting out the Gamer Homer costume again. Gamer Homer will return. The Iliad Project will return. A small update on Tammy Roche will get sandwiched between those releases at some point. And then, as August rolls on, around that second week of August, I think my schedule and my mind, especially considering what might be happening to my mom in the next few days, mid-August, I've got a lot going on until like early to mid-August. And that's when I want to start Death Stranding 2 and spend my Metal Gear Mondays playing Death Stranding 2. I think it might be a good idea to begin Death Stranding 2 on a Monday in Metal Gear Monday. I don't like the idea of monetizing my first impressions, so I might not really put on a show. But I kind of like the idea of having a video record of them on the internet somewhere. It might be interested to reference those for the review later. But, it's a game I'm going to have to make a video about for sure. And I guess that'll go up on the channel. Fuck. Shit. Dicks! When is a video review of Death Stranding 2 supposed to go up on the channel by this schedule? Because I have not had enough time to play the PC version of this. I was going to wait for the PC version to come out, which only took 1 year. And then, I think it came out in late March? April, May, June. Let me actually. How long have I been given it? Death Stranding 2 PC. Yeah, March 19th! Late March, Jesus Christ. April, May, June, July, August. Alright! 1 year and 7 months after the game's console temporary exclusive release is when I might finally get around to Death Stranding 2. Which I have been looking forward to. Now, another wrench that got thrown into that schedule is that a friend really, really wanted me to play 1000X Resist before playing Death Stranding 2. Because both games are about processing diasporic COVID trauma, I think. I don't know, I'll find out. Don't spoil, please. And, unfortunately, though, 1000X Resist, I don't think hit me the same way it did, most of the critics. It seems like the kind of game that might not hit you hard until you watch the YouTube explainers after the fact. The other thing is that I was told that it would be a good game to play 1 chapter a day, and I don't know if that really was the optimal advice either. It's a downer, and going through something that's that much of a downer right now is something I am not naturally attracted to at the moment right now, guys. Death Stranding 2 is supposed to be an upper. So the idea is to play a downer about COVID trauma from a few years ago, and then play something that's an upper about COVID trauma, about recovering and moving on to the future and fighting for what's right and dealing with the sacrifices instead of whining about them. And that's from a few months ago. So there was an unofficial 2-parter sequence that a friend wanted me to play these games in, starting with 1000X Resist, and then moving on to Death Stranding 2, as a kind of multimedia 2020s interactive narrative culture experience. That sounds like a lot of fun, but the kind of Type 2 fun that's fun to think about after the fact, because getting through that game has been a slog. I tried. You guys saw streams of me playing it for my first few sessions and really trying, and I have had a very hard time getting sucked into the narrative. Not so much as seeing the appeal of the narrative, so much as maybe acknowledging that it might hit you harder if you're not at my stage of life that I'm in right now. So that's what I have on my plate over the next few weeks, barring expected insanity from the condo lawsuit and some of an expected slowdown with the mom situation. So I'm going to be having a conversation at her, not necessarily with her, tomorrow morning, that might be the last one. But I feel like I've gone through that so many times over the past 3 years at this point that it just feels routine by this point. I don't think it'll hit me that hard. She's like 89 or something like that, and she has almost died maybe 8 times over the past 3 years. I think I'm ready for whatever emotional gut punch it's gonna hit me with. Alright, so returning back to Twitch chat, let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just playing on a Game Boy. Why does Mei Ling look so weird? Is that Mei Ling? I don't like the proportions. They kind of looked like some borderline MS Paint racism comic or something like that. I mentioned this a week ago. Whenever art reminds you of hand-drawn MS Paint memes that have been utilized for, like, alt-right disinformation campaigns, it kind of sort of gives the impression that the work as a whole that you're looking at has some undercurrent of evil going on underneath it. And this can't. It's just good old Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid ain't never offended nobody. Everyone loves Metal Gear Solid. None of my homies ever got mad at Metal Gear Solid. In Quebec. These are amusing. Pretty sure he's just playing on a Game Boy. Is that where he also has the little Pac-Man radar game going on? Want chat to be your own personal, slightly wacky codec? Yes! I think it goes off script when Psycho Mantis has his fight too. Hello, Kanzi8. Oh, you picked a weird one to come back to, Kanzi8. We got no pixel art in this one. This is like the opposite of pixel art. This is art, but it's imitating low poly art. And that's a weirdness. Every now and then you'll see the character's limbs disappear into triangles. The realistic-ish proportioned faces are throwing me off in an uncanny way. Glad Ashley would lean more into Impressionism for Peace Walker. Everyone keeps calling Gamer Rich Evans. It's so funny. Okay, Fat Sex. Speaking of that, I have a fun piece of trivia. Gamer... You know how everyone says that Gamer Homer looks like Rich Evans, right? What if I told you that Gamer Homer was repurposed from a Red Letter Media Mr. Plinkett cosplay, where Rich Evans would wear the big sunglasses and then the old man driver cap and a like tweed sweater with dark khaki slacks and the cane. I went as that during a Dragon Con years upon years ago. I think it was 2014. And me and my buddy I was going with also had some Mike and Jay Red Letter Media cosplays where we custom ordered lightning fast VCR repair patches and put them on a pair of button-up work shirts. So it's not a coincidence. I don't know if I might have ruined the magic with some behind-the-scenes detailing there, but it is, I shit you not a coincidence that Gamer Homer looks like Rich Evans. One of my most favorite comments on that video said that Rich Evans is the Satan of Hollywood. It was a borderline nonsensical comment about how the video was about preparing teenagers to have conversations about Hollywood movies with executives that don't exist anymore for an audience that doesn't exist anymore. So that I could use as their visual point of reference their Satan, Rich Evans. Imagining Rich Evans in the Plinkett costume being the #1 greatest enemy of the Hollywood establishment is an amusing visual, albeit a nonsensical one, because I I highly doubt Red Letter Media has had an effect on the bottom line numbers of Hollywood movies at the end of the day. Although it is weird to think about. I think I remember them mentioning how weird it is to think about just the possibility of J.J. Abrams' crew having watched the Plinkett reviews before making new Star Wars movies. Everyone keeps calling Gamer Homer Rich Evans. It's so funny. Yes, agreed. There was a... What's up, gamers? It's me, Homer. I absolutely love that introduction to the video. I might want to think of some way to incorporate this Rich Evans lore into the next time Gamer Homer makes an appearance. Okay, Lord Fritios. So there was apparently discourse about Greek helmet with the typical mohawk. It's a broom! And people going, they didn't have this kind of armor back in the Trojan War time. And fair enough, that much is true. But then I found pictures of vases with Patroclus sporting the mohawk helmet. So it seems to me ancient Greeks did enjoy a bit of anachronism as well. So the thing about the broomed helmets is, it is a later invention, but it's not particularly unique to any particular one of the Greek city-states. I've heard them called Spartan helmets. And they're really not. I think everyone was wearing those broomed helmets back a few centuries after Homer. Or a few centuries after the Trojan War. But around about Homer's time might around have been when they crop up. Homer does not describe broomed helmets in the Iliad and the Odyssey, but he does describe plumed helmets and horned helmets. If they're being accurate, there might not be a big broom of hair coming out of the helmet, but rather a ponytail of horsehair coming out. There's a pretty vivid visual in Book 6 where he describes the pluming of the helmet bobbing up and down with the motions of people walking. Horned helmets generally look silly, and I don't think are used in real life combat because it gives your opponent something to grab onto easily, but have been the visual symbol of a nasty warrior kind of guy for entertainment and theater, going back to Homer, even in verbal description with no visual to go attached to it. So, you found pictures of vases with Patroclus sporting the mohawk helmet, so it seems to me ancient Greeks did enjoy. But the thing is, the person drawing that picture, you gotta remember, was doing it hundreds upon hundreds of years after the Trojan War, without a established study academic tradition of archaeology existing. The person drawing that vase was doing it based on a story that was written hundreds of years after, in an environment where broomed helmets would have been the symbol, the universally recognizable symbol of an ancient Greek warrior, almost as much as they are today. Also, the other thing going on is that even though they were not verifiable archaeological evidence, there were visuals. Like, there was this relic economy going on later in the ancient world after Homer's time, so I don't know if Homer's time is like 700s to 800s BC. The Trojan War times is like 1300 to 1200 BC, and classical Greece proper is like 600, 500 BC to 300, 200 BC. So there's these big gaps between when whatever war the Trojan War was based on happened to when Homer made the versions of the Odyssey that came to be their recognizable form today, to when there was generations upon generations of scholarly work and appreciation done on them, which also would have been around the time the copies of Homer appeared. And I want to say that, like, when in the video when I mentioned that, like, the original audiences wouldn't have had a visual reminder to base their visuals off of. There was a relic economy that existed for certain chunks of that time period that could invalidate that statement to certain small extents. And like the medieval relic economy of how like in the game Pentiment, the hand of some saint would be preserved behind glass in a church. They would have tombs where the heroes were buried. The tomb of Achilles, I think, was supposedly located near the a newer city built on top of or near the ruins of the historical Troy. One of these is famous for being some like mammoth bone that they put on display as like the thigh of Ajax to convey the idea that there was this giant Greek warrior who really existed. Much like the relic economy from medieval times, I think we can reasonably assume that most of these artifacts were probably bullshit, but they still would have given the audiences of a more robust and busy economy than Homer's own a visual that they could still look at and imagine the story with. But also, as a modern person, you shouldn't assume that's necessarily how they consume the stories either. I don't really think that the debate on a lot of these Homeric questions is conclusively concluded by now at this point. So there was apparently discourse about Greek helmet with the typical mohawk and people going, they didn't have this kind of armor back in the Trojan War. And fair enough, that much is true. But then I found pictures of vases with Patroclus sporting the mohawk helmet, so it seems the ancient Greeks did enjoy a bit of anachronism as well. They just didn't know it was anachronism. So yeah, whenever I see someone griping about the armor in the Odyssey movie looking more Roman than it does Greek, I wish you could hear my eyes roll. My eyes roll into the back of my head. I start convulsing and have a complete meltdown over how it does not matter. None of that matters. If the armor looks Roman, if the boat looks Viking, it does not matter. Both of which are convenient visual shorthands for a primitive, brutal, nasty warrior society that sometimes gets imagined as being noble and heroic. So that should get the job done. That's ultimately what's more important, is if the visual gets the job done for the audience seeing it. So the vase art of Patroclus wearing a broomed helmet is more or less being done in the same spirit. What is going on in this visual novel, by the way? You have to destroy the high voltage switches. This is true with the wall. Can't reach it. You just use a remote control missile. The Nikita. Oh, they're just. They are literally drawing out the like Pac-Man game that you play to get the Nikita missile through the maze. I really have to wonder how strong this would hold up as a narrative on its own for someone who had not played the game. Anyone who didn't play Metal Gear Solid, but instead watched the digital graphic novel on the PlayStation Portable, must have had a wild time. I'm talking so much I got the hiccups. Incubex says, hang on a second, this is Twin Snakes fighting. Yeah, right. This is Twin Snakes fighting. Did this come out after Twin Snakes? Let me look that up. Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel. So I think Twin Snakes was 2004. Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel is 2006, which does make sense because the PlayStation Portable came out after Twin Snakes, I think. So they would have had some Twin Snakes inspirations to look at. Ugh, gross. Oh my god. Wait, why are they saying, oh my god, this like Valley girl? Who said that, by the way? I can't imagine Snake saying, oh my god. I can't imagine the Genome Soldier Guard saying, oh my god. There is a Gorilla's quality to the character style. When the line art comes out, you could put Noodle and Mei Ling side by side and they'd be pretty similar. Yeah, bring back the Mr. Plinkett voice for the VO for future videos too. No, I think that was too imitative. Oh my god, that guy said you're being paid off by Big Hollywood to dress up and make fun of Rich Evans? Is that what that means? That comment was borderline undecipherable, but it did mention something about being paid by a, what's the evil term? A venture equity investor or something like that. I don't know. Were they talking about Nebula? Did they think I was being paid off by Nebula to dress up and make fun of Rich Evans? Either way, I think that the chain of inspirational lineage is pretty clear that if anything, it was an accidental or opportunistic, an unintended, but nevertheless opportunistic resemblance of Rich Evans that is extra hilarious because it was built out of the parts of a Red Letter Media character cosplay. The cane that I was using might be the same exact make and model of cane that Rich Evans was using. Why is the Evans lore so rich? I don't know. I also had a hard time understanding what they were talking about, because when I think of Rich Evans and being in an identifiable costume, I think of that childhood photo where he's at the Crazy Bear Pizza Parlor. I don't remember the name of the franchise. The thing that became Chuck E. Cheese's. And he has a shirt that says... yeah. This little child, 7-year-old Rich Evans, is wearing a shirt that says Dick the Birthday Boy. If I was ever to cosplay Rich Evans, that's like what I would think of first. But what they were talking about was a Mr. Plinkett costume and character portrayed by Rich Evans that this whole entire time, I did not even know that was Rich Evans. I thought that was Mike Stokloska. But I did have that costume in my closet for so many years, and a few pieces of it got brought out to put together the Gamer Homer costume. But I was not thinking about Rich Evans at all while I was doing it. The resemblance never would have occurred to me until the comments of the video were coming out, because the thought logic went more like, okay, Homer's blind, let's give him some glasses. And then I tried on several pairs of glasses, and the ones that I thought were the funniest were the ones closest to the style of that Rich Evans character. And then I also am thinking, oh, Homer's blind. He would walk around with the cane, right? I happen to have one cane in my apartment, and it was the same one from the Rich Evans as Mr. Plinkett character. So that means that it was not intended to be a Rich Evans cosplay. It was not intended, and never was and still isn't. It was not intended to resemble Rich Evans, but it is very, very funny that it did. It's the glasses and the cane that do it. Oh, and then there's the headband, right? This isn't a Rich Evans thing. That was to cover up my embarrassing hairline, which still turned out to be kind of embarrassing in that video. What's so cool is that in the beginning of the video, you can see my hair kind of makes sense, but as the video goes on, my hair gets sweatier and sweatier, and the comb over starts combing under, and some strands escape their confines of the headband. When you look up a bust of Homer, which had to have been done by someone who had no fucking idea what in the world Homer would have looked like, if they were visualizing Homer as a guy instead of a company of bards, which I actually like imagining being the answer to the Homer question again. Wait a second, let me click on the... Hey, this is a completely different image. I don't understand. I don't understand how this works. They were just like dashing at each other in a Fist of the North Star anime duel, and I pressed the take a picture button, and it took me to a completely different scene. Anyways, I think I over-explained the details of the... Wait, no, I didn't! in the bust, there's a bust of Homer. Yeah, no, what? Can I please get a Wikipedia article or something on this particular bust? Because I would actually like to know the trivia behind this, because there's no way in hell that whoever sculpted this had any idea what Homer would have looked like. But there's a headband. There's a headband. It looks like a rope. So what I used was the Williams brand tennis sweatband that I used in the fitness games video from like 12 years ago, but with it turned around so that the label was facing backwards. If you gave this bust sunglasses and made the headband thicker, that was the idea here. I was under the acknowledgement that I was capturing someone with a very weird hairline to begin with. Therefore, I wouldn't worry about it, and it would be part of the joke if the hair went crazy. I don't know how I feel about these mailing drawings. Like, look at that. What is that? That looks creepy. Where are her eyes? Is she a skull, but with a like perfectly intact mouth with lips with teeth inside? She kind of looks like a fish. Why did they make her look like a fish for that frame? But yeah, Fat Sax, I think you provided an actual... You interpreted the English of me describing the comment better... You know what, let's just get the fucking comment on the screen. Right, I'm gonna need one of you to parse this, because I don't understand. Weird comment.png. This is my favorite comment from the video so far. Bam. Hey, where'd it go? Yeah, here it is. The host expresses curiosity about the upcoming Christopher Nolan film, hoping it avoids being boring by leaning into the exaggerated dramatic nature of epic poetry rather than striving for overly restrictive realism. Now with Google Gemini, you too can skip an hour of a private equity firm paying a guy to equip theoretical still pro... What the fuck is this concept? Now with Google Gemini, you too can skip an hour of private equity firm paying a guy to equip theoretical still pro Hollywood nerds that don't actually exist with talking points for a conversation they'll never have while dressed as their conceptual Satan, Rich Evans. The fact you got tapped this early in the new financial year means you're hot shit, congrats. You're being audited next year though, you don't get to keep it, LMAO. What? Okay, so Fat Sax, I think, provides the most coherent interpretation I've seen of this one. Oh my god, the guy that said you're being paid off by Big Hollywood to dress up and make fun of Rich Evans. I think that's the closest thing to what this means. Like, the fact that you got tapped this early in the new fiscal year means you're hot shit, congrats. That I never was able to understand what they were trying to convey with that, because the video is like really distressingly underperforming, like a lot of mine recently. You're being audited next year, though. You don't get to keep it, LMAO. Does that mean I don't get to keep the costume? Or does that I don't get to keep the, like, winning streak of being hot shit that doesn't actually exist? Also, and for, like, a second, like, I was wondering if this was from, like an HOA person who's, like, gonna try to, like... The word audit comes up a lot in that topic, in that quest that I am working on. And so when I think of audits, that's immediately where my frame of reference goes to, because no one else has to deal with that bullshit. Okay, now with Google Gemini, you too can skip an hour of a... So that's what the top quote means. It's a Google Gemini AI summary of the video, auto-transcribed text conscription. A private equity firm paying a guy. Now, the likeliest thing they'd be talking about there is Nebula. A private equity firm, Nebula, paying a guy to equip theoretical still pro Hollywood nerds. What the fuck is that? Paying a guy to equip theoretical still pro Hollywood nerds that don't actually exist. So why even bother thinking about what he means if they don't actually exist? With talking points for a conversation they'll never have, while talking points for a conversation they'll never have. I'm not quite sure I fully understand that one either. While dressed as their conceptual Satan, Rich Evans. Now that was... These are 4 words of the comment that do strike me as, like, inherently comic. That's very funny. Imagining Rich Evans as being the conceptual Satan for big Hollywood is very funny. Which has me thinking that maybe there's an actual coherency behind this message. Wait a second, I just saw this was a fucking brony who wrote this. So maybe that's why they don't understand English. Yeah, that's my favorite comment on the video so far. I enjoy all the Rich Evans stuff, especially imagining Rich Evans being Hollywood's, conceptual Satan. That guy that said you're being paid off by big Hollywood, I wish, to dress up and make fun of Rich Evans. I don't think... Does big Hollywood know who Rich Evans is? Why is the Evans lore so rich? Oh, I'm certainly aware that the Iliad and Odyssey is not contemporary with the verse, thus my use of anachronism. The same way the artists of medieval and Renaissance Europe depicted the people of the Bible, sporting clothes and equipment that were contemporary to their time, not Iron Age Judea. I mean, the historically accurate armors look goofy as all hell, so yeah, conveyance is probably more important than accuracy. I have some friends who haven't played MGS. I can test it on them, probably. No, don't. Make them play Metal Gear Solid first, like normal people. When Snake was fighting the ninja for the first time, he flat out did things he did in Twin Snakes. That's what I understand that comment as. It pretty much is undecipherable. Hello, Token Flip Guy. Mei-Ling Innsmouth Edition. What did they do to you, girl? It's a troll. So many fucking contradictions. It's gotta be. Seems they're calling you a sellout, I guess. I wish. Once again, I wish that video was underperforming and the Nebula sponsors barely... The HOA bills are way too high to make a living off of Nebula sponsors anymore. I have to go bigger than that now. No, you don't get to keep the money. You don't get to keep the venture capitalist investment. They're implying, I think they're implying that you don't get to keep the hypothetical money that you made. Why would an audit get rid of that? I don't... Smash story mode with Snake only? Hey! Yeah, so I have a Wii emulator on here somewhere. The greatest trick Rich Evans played was convincing man that he didn't exist. Well, Brownie and also a Wii because Susie's sexy references. What? Lord Freetus says, quote, Well, Brownie and also a weeb, because Susie Sexy references Rosenmate. What the fuck do those words mean? If only you saw the pony profile picture first, you could have just ignored the whole comment. Yeah, but here's my hypothesis. This person doesn't mean Hollywood. They mean echo brackets Hollywood. Yeah, Susie's... Sui Sai Seki is a character from the manga/anime Rosen Maiden. There's also that Smash knockoff for GameCube/PS2 where you can Snake fight Optimus Prime and Bomberman. What? Comic Chemical, which one is that? Dream Mix... What the fuck? Dream Mix TV World Fighters? Okay, we're looking this up. You know what? Today, after this stream, I want to go do some research on the computer gaming scene of Hungary in the 1980s among various other Eastern European countries. Actually, specifically, I want to get a better understanding of Hungarian history in the 20th century, and that's kind of hard to do because they're extremely ashamed of it, because they were on the Nazi side in World War II. I want to know if there's a connection. I want to know why the USSR was friendlier to Hungary than Czechoslovakia. Hungary had a lot to gain from the goulash communism policies, where they were allowed to make high-tech, luxuries to sell to Westerners in the Western market, but Czechoslovakia didn't. When Hungary rebelled against the Soviet Union and had tens of thousands, perhaps even 100 or hundreds of thousands of people take to the streets and stuff flowers down the barrels of the tanks and whatnot, the Soviet Union relented and accepted some of their demands and gave them some freedoms. But when Czechoslovakia did the same, the Soviet Union did not. They ran the protests over with the tanks and shot into the crowds with machine guns. This was in response to the Czechoslovakian government liberalizing a little itty-bitty bit. But when it comes to Hungary, they let the government modernize a hell of a lot more than what the Czechoslovakians were asking for. So why... Czechoslovakia was taken over by Nazis during World War II, so I imagine a decent amount of animosity from that alone. But no, Hungary was worse. Hungary was on this... Hungary voted and participated and, like, kind of sort of started a really nasty tradition of being a fascist country that loved having a totalitarian dictator. I don't know. I'm sure there was resistance. Czechoslovakia got taken over by Nazis. There was a minority of Czechoslovakia who were collaborators with the Nazis. I don't think that's the same case with Hungary. In Hungary's case, I think it was the majority that signed up for that. And that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to find a good English language history of it in on the internet for free right now. Is the good Hungarian histories about what happened in the 20th century are available in the Hungarian language, and that's one of the hardest languages in the world. Yeah, I mean, like, this country still had a dictator as of a few years ago. I can't say anything because Trump's following the same playbook. But yeah, there is a very long, uncomfortable relationship with dictatorships and totalitarianism in Hungarian history that I think would have landed them on the side of receiving more animosity. East Germany was treated very, very poorly by the Soviet Union, and I think they will say out loud that it is animosity from World War II. So when it came to Czechoslovakia, though, they got taken over by Nazis. There was a minority of the Czechoslovakian population, something like 15% or less, who were down for it. The rest were not. The rest overthrew the Nazis and like actually successfully rebelled against the Nazis. And then the Soviet Union swooped in and annexed the country in its state of governmentless anarchy shortly after that rebellion. And there was an attempt at a Czechoslovakian democracy after World War II and before the decades of communist rule, but it was always undermined by these communists in the government, which your leftist tanky friends on Twitter would not like to hear about. How when communist countries did get democratically elected into a lot of these governments, the communist government that got elected in would then immediately get to work undermining the democracy. In Czechoslovakia's case, someone threw the prime minister out the window and killed them. There was a coup and assassinations. I don't think you can say that's very democratic, but at some point there was a attitude of permissiveness from the majority of the population that was around there during and after World War II to be on the side of the East instead of the West. And then they very quickly changed their minds, and there were mass rebellions against the communist government that got stamped down far harder than what happened in Hungary when they did the same. So yeah, that's kind of like the burning question on my mind, is why did Hungary get treated better for rebelling against the Soviets than Czechoslovakia did? Oh, if you're into the weird history of Hungary as it pertains to media, there's an animated feature film called Time Masters, directed by French animator René Laloux, and produced in Hungary from behind the Iron Curtain 1982. It features designs by Mobius. Yeah, well, right. This is, so I was mentioning about how Hungary was allowed to sell high-tech, luxurious things to Westerners within the Western market, and then use that money to stimulate the Hungarian economy. The people making the products weren't getting paid directly, but they did enjoy a life of privilege above other Hungarians. Hungary made very high-tech video games and very high-tech animations. The Pannonia Animation Studio was like one of the world's top 5 animation studios on the whole entire planet, next to Disney and America and Toei and in Japan. I wonder if the Canadians were on their animation high horse by that point. But yeah, Hungarian animation was a hot item, a hot commodity, a big export. There is apparently, according to Lord Fratios here, an animated feature film called Time Masters, directed by French animator René Laloux and produced in Hungary from behind the Iron Curtain in 1982. I will look that up. If you're into the weird history of Hungary as it pertains to media, Time Masters by French animator René Laloux. Le Maître du Temps is a 1982 independent animated science fiction film based on the 1958 science fiction novel Stranded on a Desert Planet. Does this actually have anything to do with Hungarian history, or is it a historical artifact? Because I don't have all the time in the world. I need, like, I will somewhat shamefully note that the entire history of Hungary, I guess, that one of the best resources I've found is this fucking shit.
Hey Anne, can you tell me the history of Hungary?
Szívnaz, hogy jó legyek, társam oldalán. Sok a harc, a küzdelem, de győzelem vár rám. Motivál, szeret meg a csését.
Okay. Anyways, this YouTube channel, living ironically in Europe, has,
just like everything else in the universe,
I shit you not, the best version I have found so far. And I don't know how good this version can possibly be, because, I mean, look at it.
10 million years ago, and Hungary was underwater, inhabited by a variety of majestic sea creatures, such as prehistoric sharks, whales, dolphins, and the largest fish to ever exist, the megalodon, widely considered the country's golden age. However,
so there's a sense of humor here, that, and a sense of authenticity going on here, and a remarkably well-detailed script that really does actually seem to cover all the basics in exactly the detail that I want from a seemingly academic orthodox perspective, which, sorry for all your leftist friends on Twitter, is going to make for a very, very negative, unflattering description of the communist years following World War II. And it seems like what I would want. But why is there not something like this that's an hour and a half that covers the history of Hungary from prehistoric times to Orbane, but it's full of these like rage memes and anime weeaboo stuff and every oh yeah. For half the video, he just zooms in on footage from old Total War games while narrating on top of descriptions of which faction of which kingdom is kicking the some other faction from some other kingdom. This is exhaustive. It seems very delicately researched. It seems to come from someone who, if not is Hungarian themselves, is definitely from the general area and has absorbed so much more of this history and the narratives, and the trivia and how to package it for an international audience than a actual Westerner would be able to do. And it's long. It's an hour and a half, and he doesn't waste your time with the hour and a half either. He doesn't pull punches about how unflattering Hungary's history is with dictatorships and totalitarianism and how some of the most fertile farmlands in Europe were experiencing starvation in peacetime after industrial modernization, and there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever for those agricultural policies and the starvations and the famines. I was trying to find something exactly like this, but with a more serious tone, and I guess I'm just gonna have to settle for this instead, because it's not bad. I don't know if I want to say it's good. I can't tell. But I need another one of those. Another like hour-long history of the whole entire Hungarian history narrative to be able to come to an answer to my burning question here, which is why Hungary was allowed to do goulash communism after a big violent bloody revolt against the Soviets. But when Czechoslovakia did a big bloody violent against the big bloody violent revolt against the Soviets, they were forced to do even worse communism than the system they had before the revolt. Everyone should watch the movie Daisies. Czechoslovakia decided to make the movie Daisies, and the Soviets were so offended at an artsy-fartsy European feminist movie that like 600 people died. George, make sure you get the ass memory. Oh, I think we missed it. Leilu would be reiterate by directing Light Years and producing it in North Korea. Sheesh. That's very interesting. Hungary made the bunny with the checkered ears, which is the cutest cartoon series ever. Hungary made the bunny with the checkered ears. Let me look that up. The rabbit with the checkered ears. Oh, that's just exactly what it's called. Okay. A 26-episode Hungarian animated children's series produced by Nonia Film. I guess I should watch this. Jesus Christ, why are their faces so creepy in this? Is it supposed to look like a low poly model with a realistic photo slapped on top of the triangles? The checker-eared rabbit. I'm going to need to use visual examples for how advanced their animation industry was. So actually watching the check-eared rabbit is something I am going to put on my to-do list for the next week. Listen, read, watch, game story first, check-eared rabbit second. I still have a list of old spy movies from the Metal Gear Solid Black and White video from last year. Whew. Okay, so Lord Fortus knows about living ironically in Europe. Maybe you can like give me. I don't know how I feel about this guy, because every now and then he'll use some of the more mild and less offensive slurs, but still every now and then a slur pops up, and otherwise the information seems good, but the tone seems questionable. Should I be trusting this guy or not? I've poked around the channel because I feel like I'm getting educated, but it seems like it's talking down to me. It's clearly for a younger age demographic, but it seems like it's also being done out of earnest, serious attempt at giving some of the kids who are just doomed a bit of context about why they're doomed. So I have this friend who is into the esoterical bits of history. For instance, he'll binge read the deeds of Geronimo and the Apache and won't shut up about it, and he keeps recommending living ironically in Europe. And that meme lord seems to just have an ability to pump out fairly accurate shitposts about the Balkans. If I want to learn really, really fast about some of the stupidest conspiracy theories going around and like get an ironically smart packaging of them that nevertheless is in a package that is going to look and sound stupid, it seems like living ironically in Europe is where I want to go. I don't know. Like some of it is making my eyebrows rise up, and I wonder if I'm warranted for that. That meme lord seems to just have an ability to pump out fairly accurate shitposts about the Balkans. Are hungry weeaboos a thing? I'm convinced they might be after hearing you ramble about this for 30 minutes! There's also The Fly, a 1980s short animated movie from Hungary. Also, why do we call it Hungary? Why do we not call it Magyari? Magyar land. Why do... What? Okay, what does the Hungarian word for Hungary sound like? What is the Hungarian word for Hungary? Magyar Szarvság, which combines Magyar and Orzvag country. Magyar or Zvag. Magyarország. Right. In the Hungarian language, it's called the Magyar land, and the Hungarians are called the Magyars. Why does the rest of the world call it Hungary, and does it have something to do with the Huns from the late Roman Empire? I'm assuming as such, but I don't want to assume something wrong. Because their history begins as a fairly nasty confederation of Hun-like nomadic steppe horseman tribes who were raiders. They were feared. I was doing a history of Germany last year, and German history kind of sort of begins with German peasants in the late Roman Empire getting attacked by Magyars and wanting to unite and get their shit together to deal with the Magyars. But at some point, the Magyars turn into Christians, and then they decide to settle down, and at some point, the rest of the world starts calling it Hungary, but that never happens in Hungary, where they're called Magyar land, Magyar country. Hungary. The name in English for the European country is an exonym derived from medieval Latin Hungaria. Right. The Latin name itself... Hang on, let me actually put this on the screen. The Latin name itself derives from the ethnonyms Hun, for the Huns, who had settled in the land today known as Hungary prior to the Avars, and on Un-Ogur, 10 Arons or 10 tribes, and Oguric for the Hungarian tribal federation that conquered the land in the 9th and 10th centuries. Medieval authors called the country Ungaria and later Hungaria, but the Hungarians call themselves Magyars and their country Magyarország. They also refer to their country as Hungaria, though far less commonly. Okay, so I think it does have something to do with the Huns. They're still not spelling it out real clearly here. But I guess since Huns were coming from that direction, late Roman scholars would call it Hungar, the Hun lands, Hungaria. I feel like Like, they should do what Turkey did with the spelling in English and be like, guys, can we please stop calling it Hungary? The Huns were not... They were different. I understand how you could have gotten confused back in the day between the Magyars and the Huns kicking your asses, but they were always different. Yeah, because another thing is this migration. As nomadic steppe peoples, the Huns might have been coming from this direction when the late Roman scholars were getting their asses kicked, but the Magyars might have settled in there after the Huns themselves left. But it does seem like there is a connection between attributing Hungaria with the misattributing Hungaria with the Huns to why it's actually called Hungary. Anyways, I need to learn more about Hungarian history really, really fast. Weeaboos are a term of the Dutch. How far is Hungary from Netherlands? Not very, like an hour drive. Why not call Czechoslovakia Czechia? Because I am actually talking about the Czechoslovakian state that existed in the 60s and the 80s during the episodes I'm talking about, where Hungary got to enjoy more looser liberalization policies than Czechoslovakia did. I am literally not talking about Czechia because I am talking about a history video I'm working on where Czechoslovakia was what it was called. Didn't Attila the Hun settle in Hungary? But Attila the Hun eventually left. The Magyars then settled in Hungary. Well, there was a point where Czechoslovakia was a country. Now it's Czechia on one side and Slovakia on the other. Allegedly, he came around Hungary and went north through the Alps. George was asking about a few weeks ago, but I fucked up the call back! Alright. Oh, do we have to control the sniper scope when the sniper wolf boss battle is happening? But yeah, Lord Fortus, you might know whether or not I should trust this living ironically in Europe guy.
Fight against Austria-Hungary and help make a war that was supposed to be quick and easy a living, breathing nightmare.
The editing is so fast. And this guy's like meme reaction folder has to be as big and exhaustive as the historical archives folder. He plays it very, very loose with this like black and white archival British Pathé footage stuff that a lot of YouTubers appropriate under the assumption that they can get away with it from fair use. And I definitely respect that hustle. I respect so much about this hustle, but yeah, there we go. But every now and then you just see like some of the worst elements of internet culture come through in a way that has me raising my eyebrows about the accuracy of the history at play here. But I'm kind of absorbed and hooked. Like these sound like important topics I need to learn for doing my Gaming Beyond the Iron Curtain video. The Ceausescu video sure was a trip. The Balkan conspiracy theories, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to watching that one tonight. But some of these are just straight up going to be diving into some of the nastiest, worst kinds of nationalist topics with histories of ethnocentrism and genocide going on that I don't know. I don't know about the packaging here, guys. You know. I'm asking my friend if he's actually really trustworthy, but unfortunately he's not aligned, so I'm not gonna swear I know shit about shit, so you don't great assault. I also realized this year that Benny from the Mummy was Hungarian. Did you know that Echo the Dolphin is Hungarian? it wasn't just an outrageous 5 to 6 year stretch of ridiculously well-reviewed and high-tech Commodore 64 games. Some of that bled over into the 90s when they were making Echo the Dolphin. And that's also a weird intersectional brainchild resulting from these high-tech animation studios crossing over with high-tech video game studios, crossing over with the end of communism and the Hungarian market of technical experts being able to market themselves overseas, which ends up collapsing the Hungarian domestic economy itself because of a familiar story that does happen to a lot of these communist countries, but not actually Czechoslovakia. Now Czechia, is that under a global market, a lot of the brilliance that got the country to enter the global market on a good start did not maintain itself for very long. Czechoslovakia made its own computers, but around the time the 90s rolled around, they very quickly stopped because it was just so much cheaper and more affordable to import them from Taiwan. Czechoslovakia did maintain a robust software development industry for the next couple decades, up to the point where it turns out that Subnautica is a Czech game. And I didn't know that. That's one of my favorite games ever. That's my favorite VR game, if we're playing it in VR. Echo the Dolphin is Hungarian. Subnautica is Czechian. So a lot of real gems, real all-time favorites show up here. Czechoslovakian pop culture was especially satisfying to discover. It's not just Subnautica. Factorio, Machinarium, Samarast, the whole that studio that makes the beautiful point-and-click adventure games. Euro Truck Simulator, the most German game I could have possibly imagined, was actually a Czech game born from the computing hobbies of Czechoslovakian teenagers, and who really maybe shouldn't even be thought of as that different from Germany, because a huge chunk of the country has always been ethnically German. And apparently I shouldn't be laughing, but one of the I keep giving Czechoslovakian history the shadow of the doubt. So one of the nastier chapters of Czechoslovakian history following World War II was how the German portion of the population suffered great amounts of hatred and persecution and oppression following World War II because of the animosity that just about everyone around the whole planet had for the Nazis in Germany. Wait, what? Token Flip Guy? I think they also developed Captain Novolin, the edutainment game about diabetes. Hold up. Developed by Sculpted Software and published by Raya Systems. Sculpted Software. What is this, Acclaim? No, these guys might have been Americans. Sculpted Software. Sculptured Software. It's based in Austin, Texas, originally located in California. Iguana. Right, those are they made a couple Turoks. Moved to Austin, acquired Optimus Software, later Iguana UK. Whoa, yeah, so... Ugh. I don't know. Oh, they did the Super Star Wars games? Those are decent. Yeah, I don't know if Captain Novolin, the edutainment Super Nintendo platformer about type 1 diabetes, is a Hungarian name or not. But anyways, I'm hit the sack because I too live ironically in Europe. Have a good one. Remember, if you can help it, keep the domination. Have a good night, Lord Frutus. I really need to know what tripped auto mod. I think the thing about keeping the dominant genes. They don't know that you're playing a silly video game where the villain is getting genealogy wrong. My friend wants a copy of that novel and but never finds it trade shows. I think it Appaloosa used to be called Nova Trade. Yeah. Appaloosa. Yeah, no, you're right about that, but what does Appaloosa have to do with Captain Novalin? Apple. I'm not seeing my Control F searches bear fruit here. I don't think they're going to be mentioning anything about Appaloosa Interactive. Oh well, happens to the best of us. I forgive you. I'm getting tired. I wonder if I need to wrap this up and then go do some work on Hungarian historical research. They did the Batman and Robin game for the Genesis. Yeah. Yeah. And as the years rolled on, they kind of just moved the fuck out. No, as the years moved on, they retired and quit making video games for kids. But the next generation of kids that grew up underneath them didn't really get the same level of education as they did under computers that they needed to learn how to program to use at all. Do I have to press buttons for the torture scene here? Or can I can just let it go, I guess. I'm feeling tempted of calling this a short stream tonight. I gotta wake up early in the morning for a potentially painful phone call. And I still want to do about 45 minutes of research on Hungarian history and intersect it with the video gaming history somehow. And the missing link in that story is how the video game history is there because of Goulash communism. Goulash communism is there because of something not going the same way it went in the Czechoslovakian history. Both countries had big dramatic revolts against the Soviet Union when they were subjects of the Soviet Union. I think Czechoslovakia more informally than Hungary. Czechoslovakia was a almost an unofficial puppet state. I think Hungary was a real puppet state. But it nevertheless was treated with more mercy and freedoms from its imperial overlords than Czechoslovakia did. Funny to think Ocelot's BDSM fetish was from watching Snake's dad get tortured. The subtext of him torturing Big Boss's son is perplexing. Wait, hang on a second. Ocelot's BDSM fetish. Okay, so I guess you mean how he likes shocking people with electrode torture. Cause I mean, Psycho Mantis is like right there. What is going on here? Hang on a second. I think the scene in the game is going off script. Wait, what? Did they just spoil the twist about Naomi being a traitor? Also, isn't she kind of like a reluctant traitor who changes her mind in the end or something? Ooh. I wish the revolvers in Hunt Showdown shot that fast. Fun fact about Emperor Sigismund of Hungary. His squire was Vlad Dracula's father, and Sigismund himself founded the Order of the Dragon, the knightly order that gave Vlad his Dracula name. Oh, so Dracula is like a dragon thing? Instead of thinking of like weird, eccentric, old Eastern European old men, should we be thinking of badass dragons and fighting alongside knights in armor? You know what? That's the history lesson I think I'll end the stream on tonight. This was a really short one. Let's make a save state here just in case I wanna. There we go. Wait a second, was that Sniper Wolf talking and not Native Kurdistan? God damn it, I got my Metal Gear Solid 1 babes confused. I thought Sniper Wolf was Naomi, and I said something stupid and wrong. Well, I guess that means we have to end the stream. Have a good night, everyone. I'm sorry I didn't really actually play a video game, but it's fun. This was interesting. I know a little bit more about the whole entire franchise of Metal Gear as I go through these Metal Gear Monday things. Next week might be weirder. Next week... Hang on, what was the name of that game? Dream Mix TV World Fighters. Dream Mix TV World Fighters is a 2003 crossover video game developed by Bitstep and published by Hudson Soft. Oh, maybe it's gonna be decent. For the GameCube and PlayStation 2. Exclusively released in Japan, the game features characters from Hudson and Konami video game series as well as Takara's toy lines. Oh! Oh! Solid Snake! Oh! Oh! Yeah! No! This is interesting! Yeah, I was you know, thinking about doing Super Smash Bros. Brawl story mode, but don't you play as Kirby in that? I don't think you can start the story mode as Kirby, but this is a this is something completely new. This was never released in the West. We're gonna have to click through Japanese text on Japanese menu. Let's do this. Let's do Dream Mix TV World Fighters, the Solid Snake campaign next week. That sounds awesome. Thanks for that idea. Let me see if I can find who suggested. Dream. Call Me Chemical. Are you still around here? Call Me Chemical. Call Me Chemical. Thank you, Chemical, for the idea suggestion for next week. Metal Gear Macedonia. We're gonna play fucking what in the world? I already Dream Mix TV World Fighters. Oh god, that's such, yeah, that reminds me of Pepsi Man, how they'd record a very white North American guy look at the camera and drink a Pepsi and look at the screen and say, Pepsi Man for TV game. Dream Mix TV World Fighters is... I have a hard time remembering that name, so that's why I bookmarked it. Let's find out what the hell that is next week. Haha!